have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Bang, bang, everybody, what's happening? Let me get rid of this. What's going on? Oh, shoot, there we go. Sometimes it takes me a minute. Here we are, waiting on Sammy. You should be here any minute. Man, good evening. You know what today is? It's FA. Every day, right? Like every day. Bam. Bam. Let's get some people in here. How's it going, chat? How's everybody doing? Glad to see you. Just remember when you get in here, drop a comment, send us a like and a share. It all adds up. It all matters. You guys all matter. We appreciate what you guys do for us. Appreciate you guys coming in here and talking with us and being a part of our lives and our circle. You know, it's important. Sammy should be here any minute, just so you know. I am sending out invites. Just a heads up. You might get one. How's everybody doing tonight, man? It's been a good day today. Oh, sporting that old Laker gear. Y'all like that? So today is February 13th, 2024. We are working our way through the year. I see we got some people in here. Again, please like, share, comment, send us a little thumbs up or a hand. Tell us you're here. Tell us you're working, living and breathing. And try some stuff out here, guys. Tell me if you guys can hear me. What is this? It's a space. We got some new stuff along here. A little bit of background sounds. Yeah, we can hold off on that. That was a little weird progression in that. So I see you. I got viewers here, man. We're in the room. I haven't had any comments come up yet. So again, let us know you're here. Let us know what's going on, how you feeling, what you're doing. Hey, Jess, I love you, babe. I should have known you were in here. I always appreciate you. Jess not only is my sister, but is one of our biggest viewers. Like, she is always a part of the feed. We appreciate that more than she knows. See who else we can get in here. I am currently sending out invites as we go. This is about you guys too. Never feel like you can't pipe in and let us know what you want, what you're thinking, what you're talking about, what you need to talk about. I think Sammy just hopped up in my inbox. See him in the background, green room. It's hard to miss him. He's got like this weird mop hair going on. Like I don't want to make too much fun of him, but it's definitely in there. What's up, boo boo?
What's up, bro?
Again, chat. I love you guys. I see we got about 8-9 people in here. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and then hit a comment. Let us know you're here. We definitely appreciate the acknowledgement and the knowledge that you're with us. What's up, Matt? My brother, man. What's happening, bro? I'm glad to see you in here. It's been a while, man. I love you, bro. How you doing today, Sammy?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Had a really good phone call with my brother John. Hey, Bina. Today is one of his anniversaries. So John married Anne 4 times, never been divorced, but remarried 4 times. And today is one of the anniversaries. Not Sammy looking like he's on a lone winner.
Yeah.
I love Julie. Oh shit. So I called him, just expressed my gratitude for his friendship and her friendship, and we talked about what they meant to me and what they meant to my recovery and my life. It was a pretty nice call. What'd you do today?
Oh man, just grinding over here, man. Just taking care of business. That's it.
What you got in the works?
Well, I'm heading to St. Louis tomorrow or day after tomorrow, and then next week on Tuesday I have presentations to do, some meetings, and then I'll be going to same time you're going to the East Coast. I'm going to Atlanta for the premiere of that documentary that Lucas has been working on. So.
Yeah, I'd love to get Lucas and Catherine in here. You should see what they're doing on Sunday. Maybe we can have them in and feature them out. Talk more about what they're doing.
We can ask, but I'm pretty sure
they're really busy
because they're coming down to the wire. But maybe they wanna talk. So I'll hit him up and then after the show and see what he says. So it don't hurt to ask. So.
Yeah, I was, Catherine and I and Lucas and I have talked several times. Like we've called back and forth since the first time Lucas was on the show. Now I don't know if you guys know this, right? I don't get starstruck easy. I've met a lot of stars throughout my life, and it's a hard thing. But I'm on TikTok, and I'm sharing and liking all of the "I hate you, but" stuff, right? Like I'm sharing it all, I'm reposting it all, I'm trying to get the word out there because it means a lot to me. And randomly, I get a follow from Catherine, and I look and I immediately recognize her, right? This is Lilith from Supernatural, right? A show that Lizzie and I have watched every episode of multiple times, right? Like we were huge fans of her. And I'm like, oh, babe, look. And she was like, yeah, it's a fake account, right? Because you get all these fake, stars that follow. And I randomly make a comment and post like, look who followed me. And she messaged me, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm married to Lucas. I'm a part of the I Hate You But family." And I was like, "What?" And we started talking, and it turned out we had a lot of common, a lot of trauma in common, loss of a child, and it turned out that the two of them were like these most amazing people I've ever talked to without meeting. Like they both extended invitations to come down to the home and visit and spend some time, and they're genuine people. Like their hearts are real. That this documentary means more to more people than I think they'll ever really know. It's helped change my ideas on forgiveness.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Oh yeah. What do you want to talk about tonight?
What are we supposed to talk about tonight? We've been promising folks we were going to talk about stuff.
Well,
do we keep a running list?
I'm looking now and I don't see.
I know one of them was relationships and recovery. We talked somewhat about trauma yesterday. We have recently talked about relationships. We can go more in depth in that, or I think we were going to do a little bit of that. But something came up yesterday that we were going to talk about, but I can't remember what it was.
Forgiveness.
I don't remember that part, but could have been maybe. There have people been hitting you up for literature?
No, I have not gotten a message saying, hey, can I get the literature? Although if you guys go to the open page, Formers Anonymous on Facebook, the literature is free to download right on that page.
Is that link working? Because I've been getting some reports that it's not.
I can take a look.
But I'm trying to figure out a way to put it somewhere so that people can easily access it, you know?
Absolutely.
Because
Hey,
in
Anna.
Messenger, you can send documents, but it doesn't really let you put them up on the site that easy.
I'm trying to see right now. I don't think it's going to let me go back and forth while monitoring as well. What's up, Bobby? So let's pull forward. Let's talk about relationships within recovery. Let's talk about why it's important that we're careful in those. Hey, Linda, I love you, sis. Aunt Rainey, I love you. Welcome to the show. So, I give out the most common piece of advice I've ever received when it comes to recovery and relationships, which is if you're not in a relationship when you start recovery, wait for about a year. Try to get to know who you are without whatever it is that you're recovering from. A lot of us don't know ourselves without drugs, alcohol, crime, shopping, gambling, whatever it is that affected us and got us into recovery. We don't know who we are without those things. So I recommend that, the standard thing, which is give it about a year, figure out who you are, and then after that, start looking into, slowly butting into a relationship. What do you think?
I do agree with that. Sentiment, like people do need some time. First of all, learning to be alone, not the same thing as isolating.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different than getting into this whole idea like I don't need anyone. Like that's not the headspace we're getting into, right? Where I'm going to pull back and out of the world. And because Formers is unique in the way that we think a lot about victims simultaneously. Because you already know I don't subscribe to the idea that you have to do it for yourself before you do it for anyone else. That day may never come, or it may come. We also think that you can do it for someone else before you do it for yourself. That day may never come, but it could. And I think the way you can diversify your recovery portfolio, the more reasons you have to do something, the better. It doesn't have to hinge on one thing. And think about how we talk about that, right? Like we're very black and white, and we're typically all or nothing.
Right.
And so if it's not for me, it can't be done. And if it's not for others, it can't be done, right? Like,
right.
Because we have victims in our pathway, we tend to think about the effects that something can have for me and for the people around me.
But isn't that thought process normal for those of us with especially those of us with criminal addictions? Right? It's all or nothing. Like we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, but it's also in the recovery world.
Really? So it's not just like.
Yeah, they're like, like there's only one way to do this, and there's only one right way, and there's only my way or the highway kind of mentality, right? Like it's
right.
No, it's not always. That's not the case, man. And even the other day when we were talking about the just some of the perspectives that we have. Yes, it could work for you. You might even think that this works for you in a certain way. You do it logically in this particular prescriptive manner. However, would you be open? Are you open-minded enough to consider even just trying something else, even if your way is working for you? Right?
Right.
Let me close my door. Right. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of us are very tentative at trying things that are not in our normal wheelhouse. Even yesterday or the other day when we were talking about counseling, everyone had a dead set idea of what it was and what it wasn't, and what works and what doesn't work. Like, there are two types of thinking, whether it's through addiction, whether it's through recovery, whether it's through change, or just normal in life. There are only two types of thinking. The type of thinking that is expansive, it expands the universe to you, or contractive, it contracts the universe to you, right? And so, yeah, I don't know about you, Monte, but I got a perfectly good working truck here, right? It's a brand new truck. It works. I love it. It does what it needs to do. Does that mean that I will never tomorrow, if I had the opportunity, drive a different vehicle? No, of course not.
I just like how you pointed out about your perfectly good driving truck and show off.
Fuck, that ain't no show off. I work fucking hard for that shit.
I know it.
Excuse my language, man. That ain't given. That's earned.
Have you seen my Jeep lately?
Yeah, you got your Jeep and I don't got mine.
Not yet. Yeah, absolutely. I've spent, and for people like me and you, right? Like, I spent most of my life in a world with contracting options and choices and not expanding ones, right? It was very, very difficult for me to think of things in a much more open sense, right? Like, I'm open to ideas now, which has been amazing for me, right? Like, being able to say, yeah, this is working, but let me try this too. Let me see what this adds to my life or my recovery. As I just knocked everything off my desk.
This is so to the point of expansive versus contractive, right? We think that and we're socialized to do this, right? That if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Right. However, some of the advice I got in recovery, which sounded ridiculous at the time, is something that I still subscribe to damn near 30 years later, which is try things that are new to you, right? Be open to different experiences and ideas, right? That goes down to very simple things like try eating at restaurants you've never been to. Try eating something off the menu you've never had before. When you're in the car, listen to a station you've never heard before. Like I prior to treatment, I grew up listening to my parents listen to country music and Tex-Mex music and cumbia, but it wasn't something I did, much less things like opera, blues, I was freestyle and house music and underground house, right? Like, and so I really didn't see a need to expand that, right? And, but as a rule now, I will listen to just about any types of music. I'll give it a shot. I will eat just about any kind of fruit, vegetable, or food that's put in front of me. Or, especially, like I've traveled a lot of different countries. So I try very cultural dishes while I'm there, regardless of what they look like, sound like. I'm going to try it. Right. And, that's just a mindset I have. Right. That's just a mindset. Try a different look on an outfit. Try a different hairstyle. Like literally just trying things. Try hiking, bow and arrow shooting, fishing, like try a different way of fishing, a different way of tying the knot.
Did you ever think? Did you ever think you would end up in the mountains of Missouri, living like almost like a farmer? Like, dude, you guys have basically a ranch, man. You got
Dude.
animals, you got land, you got things you have.
You want to know? This is the second time I've been asked that question. That's the second time I've been asked that question. Do you know what I said? Yes. Yes, I did. And it became possible through recovery. Was there a time in my life where I would have never imagined this? Yes, also.
Yeah.
Right? So I literally, here, let me pull it. I'll show it to you. I literally just had this conversation. He said, let me see. He said, 15, where's the camera? Let me see if I can get that. 15 years ago, you ever think you would be where you are right now? And my answer, let me see if I can get that to kind of take off the charger. My answer was, can you see that?
No, I can't.
Yeah, why is the other one showing? My answer was yes. Right? But it wouldn't have always been yes. Right? It wouldn't have always been yes. But and it was just his question, because I've been doing this a while. That in the very early beginnings, man, I didn't even think I could change, much less be where I'm at today in that change process. I didn't think change was possible. Right? Yeah. I didn't think healthy relationships was a thing.
There was a time in life where I didn't want it to be. Right? Change what? Change what? Change me? Like, why would I change?
And what's crazy, right, is like even in the comments that we have over the days, and it's not a judgment, it's just more of an observation. Like, you can tell, like, we are still working on open-mindedness, this expansive, so like if I said, we should try counseling, and folks were like, yeah, but is that expansive or is that contractive? Right? And in recovery, the goal will always be to be expansive in your recovery.
Right.
Responsibly expansive, right? But open-minded to different ideas. Like, for example, if I were to suggest that, being abstinent for 6 months, some people's initial reaction would be, man, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. Right? But other people might be like, is that what it would take? Is that going to help? And there are so 2 types of thinking: expansive, contractive, and then there's 3 types of people in the world. People who, no matter what you say, won't believe shit you have to say. People who believe anything you say, and people who need more information. And I think the people that you surround yourself with will either encourage you in one of those fields, right? And so hanging out with new folks, like, and I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but there was a time I didn't hang out with white people. Like, I wasn't raised to do that. That was like a cultural error. And then it was reinforced in prison, because I was in prison that was deeply segregated by race. And then when I got out of prison, I maintained that mentality. Right? Like, it was just a thing, right? I didn't go to certain bars. I went to certain clubs, right? Shit like that, man. Like, and it's just socialization. And a lot of times we just accept it, but we don't ever consider it, right? But to the points that are in here, age can play a factor, but not too long ago, me and Monta were on here, and I was in Racine, and at an Ace Hardware to buy a screw, because I needed a screw. And lo and behold, this dude who's probably 15 or 20 years older than me walks up to me and asks me, how I'm doing. And then he immediately, so he's got to be in his mid-60s. He immediately starts talking to me about the brothers, and I should come to the junta. They would love to see me. That my name is still ringing in the streets.
Right.
Right? Like, shit like that. I'm in my 50s. he's in his 60s, right? And that's and to this age thing, right? That's the difference between recovery and stopping.
Yeah.
The recovery is not just simply aging out. That is not recovery. That's just aging out. You can still have the same fucked up values, the same fucked up morals, the same fucked up principles, but not be doing gangster shit all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I might find it humorous, and I know there's folks like this, right? I might find it humorous when motherfuckers get shot up, you know, or when somebody you dislike, you know, gets taken out, and you know you're celebrating that, right? It's recovery. When we're talking about recovery, we're talking about actively pursuing change, actively working on improving our moral positions, our ethical positions, the way we think. Remember, we were talking about reentry, right? Like your antisocial views and values, your antisocial relationships, your antisocial activities, and your antisocial environments. You can be in all of those things, not doing any crimes, not doing any drugs, and still be the same mindful mindset person that is from that life versus someone who is actively working on it, right? Like we're sitting around talking about values, morals, and principles all the fucking time with like a concerted thought, and we're tweaking them. We're tweaking them all the time. We're like, oh, here's how I can improve on that, right? It's about self-improvement. You're not satisfied with just, I mean, case in point, Monte, you did it and all these other dudes did it, I've done it. When I'm seeing dudes who've been in and out the joint, you ask them, how you doing, bro? The first answer is good. Well, based on what? Like, why is it good? Shit, dude, I've been out 6 months. That's the longest I've been out. Like, that's the measuring stick for success. Yep. Now, in that 6 months, that doesn't mean he ain't been doing shit to go back.
He just ain't been caught.
Right? You're still high risk. Like, you might age out, but that don't mean that you've changed, right? And so recovery and just it becomes even more than a recovery, right? Like recovery is like right up there, but what if it's just the way you learn to be, which is, you know, concerned about humanity, concerned about others, concerned about raising your children in the best way possible, concerned about the next man or woman, right? Like, you know why I don't cheat? It ain't because, you know, I'm not getting caught. I have a value that says, you know, this or that. So when we think about aging out versus change, they're not the same things. And it's important to understand that. So we're not just two fellas, you know, sitting on there for shits and giggles. We're two fellas who are promoting like this lifestyle change that includes, that's right, Amy, you know, that are concerned about making the world and the people in it and around us a better place.
So, you know, to that point, that was a question I was asked just recently, a few days ago. Why is it so important to you, Monte, that, you know, you talk to the community or make community better, or make your neighborhood better? Like, it's not altruistic, right? It's not just because I want that to be a better person, right? There's a lot of self-serving emotions and feelings when it comes to, I don't want my family, friends, or neighbors to be victims, right? And so every person who lands in recovery and accepts recovery and becomes a part of recovery and adopts it as part of their life, right? Every person who doesn't go back to prison is one more victim that isn't created in my circle. And that's important to me too. And I know how they feel. I know that pain. I know that suffering, coming home and thinking that, you know, there's nothing I could ever be but what I was, and no one's ever going to believe in me. No one's ever going to support me. So what difference does it make if I go right back to the fucking game, right?
And, you know, we like to play it safe, won't they?
Yeah.
We like to keep one foot in and one foot out just in case this shit doesn't work. Right? Like
Yeah, oh yeah.
we don't necessarily want to go all in, right? Because especially in the early stages, we're not quite sure if we have what it takes to make it, man, which I think is fundamentally the biggest fear that we have.
Absolutely. Uh, like you worked with me early on in my recovery, and you remember how it was with me. Like there was always that fear. It wasn't just that I wasn't good enough or I wouldn't like it. Like I didn't know if I was smart enough. I didn't know if I was strong enough. I didn't know if I was capable. I didn't know if I was worth the work it took to be a better person, right? Like when it comes down to it, I didn't think I was worth it, right? Like that was a feeling that I struggle with to this day. Do I deserve my children's love? Do I deserve my friends? Do I deserve my partner? Do I deserve anything? Right? That lack of self confidence and self worth, right, stems from childhood trauma and a lifetime of abuse, self abuse, and victimization, right? So it's hard to commit to that absolute change when you know what you knew what your place was in the last life.
Let me
Like you
tell you
knew
what
where
the
you were.
safety net for that is, though. Okay, let me tell you, everyone listening here, listen to this piece, man. So we think if we commit to recovery 100% that we lose something, but let me tell you, these streets would take you back in a heartbeat, no matter how long you've been gone. You
Yep.
really aren't risking everything. I mean, if you want to go back to being an asshole, there's plenty spots open, right? Like it's look, there's a prison bed waiting for me right fucking now.
Every day.
Right fucking now. Right? Like and guess what? If a snitch can make it in the prison system, I can make it in the prison system, even though I've been gone, 30 years. And there are going to be people who welcome me back and who are trying to gift me when I walk in. Like they're not going to care how long I've been gone, right? So that is probably, when you come to that realization, that is probably what makes addiction truly scary. Is that you're never free, but you also don't have to be caged, right? Let's get to Anna, and a lot of good comments in here. And I do want to also, with a caveat, I want to say, if you get older and you change your behavior, it's not just because you're older. You probably got wiser also, like along the way. So let's give you some credit where credit's due. Hopefully, but it's not true for everyone, as we know, man. Like I know some old heads who are exactly the same, who are still going to meetings, who are, still consider themselves OG. Like I don't say I'm retired. I'm not retired. That would mean I'm still playing by those rules. I moved on. But to Anna's question, right? And maybe we can read this one. I'm going to read this one. It says, so when do you give up on a family member when you know they aren't going to change ever, but you try so hard to get them to want to quit? All right. So much to unpack there. First of all, you never have to give up on a family member, so to speak, but you can stop doing certain things that you've been doing for that person along the way of what you're trying to accomplish, right? So the door is always open, but guess what? It's not unconditionally open, right? And I would say you never have to give up on a family member. However, you may have to accept where they're at and what that's likely to do. So a couple of things I would say, and one of the best lessons I've learned along the way, when you cannot prevent something from happening or someone from doing something, predict what will happen, right? Like you can predict. When you can't prevent, you predict. And Heather, there are people who will never stop walking into brick walls. Do they have the potential? Yes. However, no. So not everyone. I mean, I wish it was true, but that is why the clause insanity. And we're gonna remind me to talk about the definition of an insanity versus my definition of insanity, right? But let's get back to Anna's question. So when you have a family member or a loved one, close person to you, that hasn't changed no matter what. Oh, I love that banner. I love that.
I love what she said there.
Yeah, it's your boundaries. What happens with family? This is a boundary, right? This is a clear line between two people. But a lot of times, when there's abuse and trauma and addiction, this is what those boundaries look like. We call this enmeshment. It's less about what you have to do for the family member and more what you have to do for yourself when you are, like if you're in a drowning situation with another drowning situation, most people who don't know how to rescue somebody, when they attempt to rescue somebody, they get pulled on the water and drown with the person who's also drowning, right? And so we need to understand the skills and the lessons that we have to learn around how to do this, right? First of all, the hardest lesson to learn about people you love is that you cannot control them. And we just talked about this a little bit yesterday, right? You cannot control them. You may think you know what is better for them, and you very well may. But that doesn't mean that they have to accept or follow anything that you have to say. You may have a lot of good things to offer, but that doesn't mean they'll accept them, and that they're in a place to accept them, right? I don't know Heather's story, but there were times when I got straight A golden advice, that could have came from the Dalai Lama himself, but I wasn't in a position to accept it. That I wasn't even capable of receiving it. Like if I hand you 280-pound dumbbells and you try to grab them from me, right? And you drop them, is it simply because you simply didn't want to?
No, I was incapable.
Right? You don't have that you haven't lived in a way that makes you able to receive that yet.
And just I could have carried it.
I don't know. That's 360 pounds, bro. That's 180 pounds per hand. I don't think so. If I remember correctly, your shoulder fell out last time you tried to pick up anything with somebody. So
I didn't say I wouldn't hurt myself.
Yeah.
I just said I could hold them.
That's a part of the assumption, that you can respond. No, you fucking just shred your arm just falls off. No, like the GI Joe that you could rip off the arm and put it back in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So and see, the question itself is kind of rooted in survivor's guilt, right? How many of us have family that made us feel shitty about ourselves because we got our lives together, right? They know how to pour on the guilt, and there's a reason for that, right? He did, Amy. Now, a lot of times, the way we think about it, are we really leaving anyone behind, or are we choosing differently and living with the choices that those people make, right? When there were select few brothers that I went to when I knew I was going to change my life, right? And I said, hey, to be fair to you, I need you to know. I didn't feel I owed them like a sense of obligation. I just at that time was still in a place where I loved them and I cared about their well-being, right? And I said, I need you to know that from here on out, you're on your own, right? And I need you to be prepared for that. I can't go down these roads with you anymore. I'm saying I'm going north. You're welcome to join me, right? None of them followed me in that moment. Some did later. But did I leave them behind, or did they choose a different path from the one I chose? Right? And so it's not me leaving them behind. The road is public. Anyone can walk on that road. And my example serves as the direction that I'm headed in that can lead you out. Like if I'm in the tunnel with the torch leading the way, you have a choice to follow me or to go down the tunnel of your choice. It's not me, writing you off as a person. I'm saying, hey, here's where I'm at in life. This is direction I'm going in. I'd love for you to follow me and go with me there, and not even follow, walk with me in this direction if you would like to. And they have that choice. Now, have I sat with brothers who are condemned since I've gotten out? Yes. Have I gone back to spread the message? Yes. You know, have I ever grieved losing someone? Yes. Even since I've been out? Yes. Right? But we are not in a position to force, control, or otherwise unduly, unethically influence someone to do something they're not willing or able to do, right? Will I carry somebody if they are in need? Yeah, for a while. But no, if you got two good legs.
Yeah.
So it's like, we talked about this. If I got 1,000,000 arrows in my back and you got one, like, I'm sorry, man, but you're gonna have to pick yourself up and follow or go in the same, right? So it's not about giving up. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to make the changes, implement the changes, demonstrate the changes, be the message of hope, because you're planting seeds that for trees you may not sit under, right? You may not be there. And if you're blessed if you are. You're truly blessed if you are.
Yeah,
there was the golf commercial, right? It's a grandfather and his grandson golfing. And the grandson hit a bad ball. And the flag for the hole is in between two trees, right? There's two trees and he's far away, and he's got the grandfather says, when I was your age, I would hit that ball right over those trees, right? Now, listen to this. This is hilarious. So, and these trees are freaking big ass trees, right? And so the grandson's like, all right. So the grandson swings as hard as he can, and the ball hits the tree like we would predict, because it's got to split it perfect. It hits one of the trees, and then the grandson looks like angry because it didn't work. And the grandfather said, when I was your age, those trees were only about 10 feet tall.
Right.
Right. So that's it, and it's, but the survivor's guilt in us makes us feel like we're doing something morally wrong. And I'm going to tell you, the first time I faced this, Monte, and this is in my book, right? I was 11 years old, and my youngest brother was about 2 or 3, maybe 4. And by this time, I was running away often, right? I was trying to escape the brutalness of my family, the torture of my family. But I would get brought back by the police and social services every time I got picked up or caught, right? And so the routine, everyone knew that at some point in the night, on one of these nights when no one could stop me, or they let their guard down, or nobody was looking, I was going to run away. The first night this happened, where I felt this survivor's guilt, like what Anna was saying, I woke up ready to, I was like slowly getting up. I was going to start sneaking out. Tell me why my baby brother had a backpack full of toys, and he was sitting on the couch waiting for me to try to sneak out. And he asked me to take him with him. And I decided to stay on that day against my better advice, like my own instincts knew. But I felt like I couldn't leave him behind. And I took so many other ass whoopings after that day, but eventually I had to leave. And when I did leave, I felt like I was making the worst choice ever by leaving. I'm thinking I'm leaving my brother behind. Today, I realize that was not what I did, but that's how they would have me think of what I did. Mm-hmm. Because my mom on the next time, came back. You know what she did the next time? She made me kneel in front of my brothers, and she was trying to force me to tell my brothers, you ready for this? The reason I run away is because I don't love you. And here I am trying to fight back and say, actually, the reason I run away is because you do these types of things. And my parents would brutalize me, right? They would brutalize me for fighting back. I wasn't going to say, and I eventually did. And you know what? It was like an emotionally rotting moment for me because I felt like I had betrayed my brothers. But what that is toxic thinking that comes from a family with toxic dynamics. And it took a long time to heal those thoughts and to heal those feelings. Right. And so it was like, I'm not leaving my brother behind. Somebody has to make it. Somebody has to go on. And then my brother, that same boy at 11, adopted the same belief. He came to me while I was in prison, and here's what he said. As an example of his love, he said, Sammy, he was 11, I was 17, 18. He said, Sammy, if you fell into a volcano and I couldn't save you, I would jump in with you. And I remember at that age, I was thinking, I had just survived that race riot. I had almost died in that race riot. And I said, I took that as a deep expression of love, right? It wasn't until 20 years later I realized how fucked up my family has made us to think that if one of us dies, we should all die. That if one of us doesn't make it, none of us should make it. Right. Isn't the point of family to improve the odds of the future for future generations, and hopefully the ones that are younger that are still here with us, right? I am the only one who has escaped my family, right? And you know, I would say the FA mentality, you know, I think Heather's onto something, we know, when she's talking about standing on the bridge. We're not doing anything wrong if we choose not to burn with somebody, right? But while I'm not standing on that bridge, would I be throwing water on it? Might I be yelling and saying, hey, come this way?
Right.
You know, I'm going to do what I can, but eventually sometimes doing what you can is from a distance. And like Amy said, with my boundaries, because I am demonstrating a different way of living at this point. And that may be all you can do. And we can't, as you know, Monte, and I know you know this better than most, you can't save everyone from themselves. We just can't.
Yeah.
All we can do is our best.
Yeah, that was hard. And what's harder still is with that knowledge is watching the other people you love who've been victimized by the fact that they couldn't help someone help themselves, right? Like I'm watching my baby sister Prima, like, just be miserable with the loss of our mother. And the questions, right? The questions of, you know, what could we have done differently to help her more? What could we have done differently to help her change? What could we have done differently to make her take better care of herself? What could we have done? Nothing. Like, and that's still hard with that knowledge. It's still hard to accept that. And, you know, several years ago when I came to you and said, hey, listen, bro, I don't know how to do this, but I need to cut my mom out of my children's life, at least, you know, have boundaries and rules that protect them, right? Like, I don't want it to get to the point. Who was it the other day? They said, I think we had talked about it. The girl who said, it might not have been you and me. But anyways, there was a girl who knew her mother was openly, outwardly racist, right? And her children were mixed. And she allowed her children to visit her mom. She hadn't spoken to her mom in 20 years. And she said, I'm going to let my mom see them. And she knows that if she hurts one of them by exposing them to that hatred, that I won't let her see her again. And my thought process was, so you're basically saying you're going to let your mom see them until she hurts them, because you know she's going to hurt them at some point. Yeah. And so I didn't want that for my kids. I didn't want my kids to see Nana in a drunken rage or stumbling down.
It's that dead end loyalty, right? That dead end obligation. Right. Yeah.
I was like, here, Mom, here's the deal. We haven't seen you in 6 months. I love you. We will not see you again. You're welcome in my home while you're sober. You're welcome to visit without drinking. You're welcome to visit for holidays as long as you haven't been drinking. Those are the rules. If we come to your house and we're invited and you're under the influence, we're going to leave. Right. Yeah. Those are my boundaries. And that was rough, bro. That was rough.
Someone I really love is still in the streets, right? And I had to tell him, like, you can't come to my house, right? And I told him, I can come have breakfast with you. I can come have coffee with you, but you're not welcome at the house as long as these things are present in your life. Like I have to put myself and my kids first at this point, right? And it's so tough to do that, but those lessons are also instructive and informing folks and demonstrating healthiness. Yeah. That somebody who's not healthy may not speak that language and may misinterpret it. They will tell you it's abandonment, you're betraying me. Like I think I shared this a while ago. My sister, when I was growing up, I can't tell you how many people I fucked up for her. And these were situations she created and duplicated with unhealthy men who always put their hands on her. And here I would come and put my hands on these dudes, and then, turn around next week, she's back with the dude. Now, that was me growing up, because I had this dead end loyalty. Like, you weren't going to put your hands on my sister no matter what.
Yep.
And I might get mad when she goes back to do, but I was going to do it again if he did it again. Kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, fast forward like 20 years, I'm a counselor. I've got a responsible life. I ain't done that shit in, 30 fucking years. She called me one day to go pick her up at a bar because some dude had her cornered and she was sneaking a phone call in asking me to come rescue her. I haven't, I did that shit when I was 17 and 20. I'm in my mid 40s with a fucking family. Here I go like a pendejo, just on autopilot, driving down there, found the bar. I intimidated the bouncer, to get in, and saw the dude that was kind of like cornering my sister and fucking squeezed the shit out of him and, got my sister out. And then all the while I'm mad, right? But I didn't realize that I was also mad at her. And I was mad at myself for being in this situation. And I couldn't understand, like, why the fuck I was here. So eventually I talked with one of my mentors and he said, why did you do it? And I gave him all the reasons why I did it. Dude, my sister protected me when I was a kid from the beatings my family would give me from time to time. My sister gave me a piggyback ride from Waukegan to fucking Libertyville one day, right? Like, all right, Anna, we love you.
Love you, Anna.
Keep your head up. We can talk some more about this. And I had all these reasons. Like, my sister would sneak me food. My sister would come visit me while I was locked up. My sister would send me money when she didn't have money when I was locked up. My sister always gave me a place to stay. I had all these reasons. And my guy said to me, he said, first of all, Sammy, that's what family is supposed to do for each other, right? Like, you don't owe, we don't owe anything to anyone, right? Like, for doing that, like that, you're not in your sister's debt like the mob, like what she did for you is admirable, it's commendable, it's honorable, but that is not a reason to jeopardize your own well-being, everything. Your own life, your own family,
everything,
right? Like that's who introduced me to the term dead end loyalty and dead end obligation. We feel like because we're family, we have to take these risks. We have to take this on, even if it means destroying pieces of myself, my family, my life, my future. No, it doesn't. And man, I have gone back and forth with so many dudes and so many women who are like, yes, it does. And I'm like, to each his own. But when you get further into being your own person,
Right.
right? Right now, you're doing things out of duty, a sense of duty, a sense of obligation that don't make sense. Like, there does come a time when you need to put your family first, like your current family, like your own kids, your own husband, your own wife, yourself if you're single, right? Like, there's nothing but the life we have lived, we've been told. And then, just keep it real. How loyal were we to our families anyway?
Right.
When all we ever fucking did was what we wanted to anyway. Right? Like, let's keep it real, right? So many good comments in there. So what a great combo about family dynamics and the recovery, right? What recovery looks like around this, right? And so, yeah, and we don't give advice. All we can do is say, here's what we think about, here's what we talk about, here's what we've done, here's our strengths, hopes, experiences, right? Like, family, this is why people relapse when it comes to family and significant other. It's so deeply fucking personal, right? We are just there. These things go right to the bone, man.
Yeah.
I see you, Heather, with your with some. Wow, that's some. Yeah. Believe it or not, there was a lot of that in my family. Like, my mom was Mescalero Apache, my father was a Tejano, and my mom, I grew up hearing the most racist shit about whites, right? But I couldn't have told you it was racist until I got older, because I just thought that's the way it was because it came from my mom.
Yep.
Right. My mom would say some horrible stuff, and then I got around some like real Mexicans from Mexico, from like Durango, from San Luis Potosí, further south. Let me tell you, they don't look at Americans who are Mexicans like family.
No.
There's a lot of judge. Like, it took a lot of unwiring my brain to realize, like, this is some racist shit. And then I had friends who were from Goshen, Mississippi. They were my best friends, right? And I didn't realize the shit they were saying was racist as hell. Like, it's just, man, the way we're socialized and think about stuff, and thank goodness I'm not there anymore, man. Like, she was at least there, yeah. Rainbow, like this. I got you, of course. What do they say? One of my favorite sayings is, "We like people because," and then you can fill in the blank, right? I like Monte because. But when it comes to love, we say, "I love Monte although," right? Like, we love people despite their shortcomings. I don't know that. I think I have love for the idea of my mom, but I have not had a loving relationship with my mom ever. So it's hard to say that, that I love her in a genuine way. And without context, this might sound very brutal, but without context, it might sound brutal when I say, like, she is the source of a lot of the suffering that continues in my family. And so I think there will be some relief when that's over, because then the influence won't be so direct, The blood of the covenant is thicker than water. The saying means that chosen bonds are more severe. Yeah, Jess, much love for that. I say this, and Julie, my wife, when we're first getting to know each other, she pointed something out to me. I remember, I was going through divorce. My divorce is over, but it's still ongoing. There's just some
Yeah.
debate, literally, bro. Like, Just the
Will
other,
that ever end?
the other day, right? Just more drama. But anyway, I was feeling sad because I felt Julie asked me, why are you sad? I said, I feel like my girls don't have a mom right now. And Julie said, Sammy, you have given these girls many mothers. And that speaks to community. That speaks to the covenant. That speaks to the chosen bonds, right? How many aunts do my daughters have? How many uncles do my daughters have? How many grandparents do my daughters have? They have more than the average kid, right? They have love coming in from so many angles. And you know what? While those are surrogate, I can tell you, man, those are just as meaningful as anything and have been healthier than the ones that should have been the original ones would ever be.
You know, it's funny you talked about that. Do you remember when we went to Solinus's event?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
And she was so, and I don't want to expose too much, but the hug and what she had told me afterward, like, touched me to my core, right? Like, I've always loved those two girls, right? They've always been like my buddies. But I realized at that moment they were as close to me as any blood I've ever had, right? They meant as much to me.
Isn't that crazy, man?
Any blood I've ever had. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're my babies, man.
Yeah.
And anytime they see me hurt, like, they'll reach out. Salinas randomly messages me, hey, Theo, just wanted to say I'm thinking about you and I love you, bro. Right? Like,
You're welcome.
Yeah, you did a good job, bro. With some help.
That's right.
Financial help as well. I paid my child support.
Is that what you want to call it?
I paid my child support. Them gangsters been got me for plenty. I could have probably bought a car with the amount of money Samaya's taken out of my pocket alone.
Dude, she asked me for money from school today. I sent her some money. She gets home and says, hey, can I have some money for dinner? Like, I'm sure. Dude, she's just nicer about it. She ain't pocket checking me. I'm fucking stuck here. Of course I gotta give it to her. I'm like, that's about $30 just today, sweetie. Like, she's like, yeah, I know.
not I'm sorry, Dad. Not I'll pay you back. It's like, yeah, I know.
Too bad, so sad.
I'm aware. All right, you guys. It's just after 10 o'clock.
Let's do it.
People are heading out to bed.
Good combo, guys.
Yeah, hell yeah. We'll see you tomorrow night. Again, if you're gonna be busy,
hold on. Tomorrow night
you're gonna be in St. Louis.
No, I'm going Thursday, but it's Valentine's Day. So how would you guys feel? Like, let's just prioritize. I want to prioritize my wife tomorrow. Probably going to take her out for dinner. I don't want to be in a rush. Yeah, maybe we skip tomorrow and jump back on Thursday.
Thursday night.
I should be home. I should hope. Well, I don't know. I might have to do it from the road because I'll be in St. Louis coming back from St. Louis.
All right. We can do an open discussion as well. We can just kick the bobo and bring it down. That way you're safe on your ride home.
We do got dates, Amy. You know this. I'd be an asshole if I didn't prioritize the woman in my life.
I love you, Amy. Thank you for everything.
So
listen, thank all of you guys.
It
everybody
in here. And we just, she still shows up here, man, and I gotta honor her tomorrow, so I'm gonna dedicate my time. That's why I'm not going tomorrow. They offered tomorrow. I'm like, no, that's Valentine's Day. So we love you too, Amy. And Amy, we need to lock in a date that you're coming to see us. Okay, we're here. We live in this beautiful, majestic piece of land because of you. So we need to see you soon.
I'm just letting you know now. Amy doesn't do bugs.
We got an indoor.
Yeah, that's right. You do. All right.
And believe it or not, our chickens keep them bugs down.
Hell yeah, they do. They're great at. They say it's one of the best defenders of bugs from your creepy crawlies.
Well, we gotta look out for the snakes. Although I saw one deep throat a snake last year, just picked it up. I was like, oh damn! No gag reflex.
Fucking beasts.
I was like, did you just just gobble it up? This tail's like,
Oh my God. On that note, we're outie. We love you guys. Thank you for everything. We will see you Thursday night between 8:30 and 9.
Ish.
Yes.
Ish.
Oh.
Before midnight.